coffee. 'Cause
Mhm.
I'm still asleep. Let me see. All right. Okay, yeah, we live now. All right, we are live. It is what June 26, 2021, 10:09 a.m. out here in the Midwest, man. This is your brother, your boy, Harry Mims, Minister Mims, Pastor Harry. Call me whatever you want to call me. Just know that I'm a blood-bought child of God. I'm already like 2 hours behind on my schedule today. Woke up late, but I'm here, and Sonecia is here. So we gonna get into it. We gonna talk about some things, discussions that's going on in all the barbershops and all the beauty salons and all the family gatherings across the world. So before we get into all that, I'm a pause for a second to bring in my intro. Then I give a shout out to my sponsors. Then we gonna chop it up. Let's go. Hey man, somebody, we live. This one for the church. Yeah. All right. You talk to him though. Yeah. They shooting, made you look. You a slave to Facebook more than just your post. God see how your faith look. Friends of the world, enemy of God, stay shook. Everybody Christian when police violence jumps off. But when it's black on black, then the silence jumps off. God reaches at Christ's spirit. Think your following won't cost. They live a life with a fence and won't cross. Whole platter full of adultery, that Trump sauce. Blame it on politics, one matter of Trump loss. All I got is one God, one Lord, and one boss who sent me to the boss. When they hearts is cold frost. Minister Mims is nobody. Trying to tell everybody about somebody. If your hearing is swift, you can hear the offer of the free gift from Jesus Christ. The righteous repentance. Where's your faith? Are you a Christian? One life get up in your face. Don't you dare back down. Lace your boots up. Don't you dare back down. Stand up tall. Don't you dare back down. Give God your love. Don't you dare back down. Give him your all. Yeah, get the Lord your all, man. Once again, we back. This is Harry Mims podcast. Amen. Somebody Radio. I want to give a shout out real quick to my sponsors, to Harris Homes LLC. To Harris Homes is a real estate investment company looking to buy properties below market value in Fort Wayne, Muncie, Kokomo, and Marion, Indiana. If you know anybody that's in a tight squeeze, is looking for some fast cash real quick, and they need to offload some of their properties, you can give us a shout out at 765 293 9773. That's 765 293 9773. You can inbox me because I am to Harris Homes along with my wife, Tiffany Mims. Also, if you need some insurance, some car insurance, some property insurance, some life insurance, you definitely want to get some life insurance. Give us a shout out, man. Mims Agency Insurance Group, man. We can get you some quotes, get you some comparable rates, man, and get you locked in, man, for you and your family. So I'm on here with Sonecia Lene. Is your middle name Lene? Is it
Yeah, it's Lene.
Lene?
Yeah.
Sonecia Lene Nard. I've been knowing this girl since she was a baby. I think she was like the biggest baby I ever saw in my life. I remember a long time ago when I was like 18 and 19, I was over my wife's house. At the time, she was just a girl that I knew, you know what I'm saying? I was just hollering at. And she brought this big old baby and put her in my arm. I was so scared. She was so heavy. It was like holding like a big sumo baby. I was like, man, I didn't even know babies got that big, man. And then we fast forward. Now she's this beautiful, intelligent, young, smart lady, you know what I'm saying, doing all these wonderful things, trying to prepare herself for the future. How this podcast came about is they came over a few days ago, her mom, her sisters, dropped off her little brothers. By the way, Sonecia is family, so I'm married to her cousin, her dad's first cousin. So we family. They dropped the boys off, June and Chris, my little peoples, and we got to chopping it up about many things, and the conversation got real good. And I said, you know what? we need to talk about this on my podcast. So she was like, yeah, I'll get on there. I'm like, okay, well, that's what's up. Also, I want to just take this time out and pause and just tell everybody this is the first time I done had a female on my podcast show. So praise God for that. That's what's up. So Sonecia gets a plaque for the day. So real quick, Sonecia, you want to tell the people like who you are, what you've been doing, chop it up real quick.
Yeah, of course. Let me get this light together because it's a little dim in here. Okay. Oh, I don't like that. Wait, what? Okay, well, I am Sonecia Nard. I'm originally from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I currently attend Tennessee State University, the illustrious Tennessee State University, located in Nashville, Tennessee, where I am a biology major and I double minor in chemistry and psychology. Currently, I am in two organizations. One is called Lila's, which stands for Love You Like a Sister Incorporated, which is basically founded on friendship and committed to sisterhood. So we do a lot of community service throughout Nashville, and we go help the less fortunate. We have one mandatory community service a month, and then we have to all get 10 personal hours on our own. So then we just held events on campus and intake girls every year. And then I am a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the first Black Greek organization for females, founded in 1908. So I just got initiated this past spring. I have been an RA since my sophomore year. I'm about to be a senior. This is my last year. Before I graduate, I'm a big sister. As the cousin Harry said, he has my brothers right now, but I have a younger sister. She's 18. She just graduated high school. I plan to go to medical school after this next year of college. I plan to go to medical school, eventually become a pediatrician, open up my own practice, and then I also want to work within whatever school district that I live in and be that school district's one of their athletic doctors, physicians. So that's what I'm going towards right now.
Now, what's your GPA right now?
Right now, it's a 3.51.
Wow, that's still amazing. That is amazing.
It's not necessarily where I want it to be, but when you take into consideration all that I do outside of just academics, like me not having a school life, a social life at school, I've learned to grow, say, okay, you do a lot. So I give myself a little pat on the back for it.
Right. Praise God. So, and you are recently just turned, what, 21?
I just turned 21 in November.
When was your birthday?
November 15th.
Oh, November 15th. Wow, man, I'm 40. Time flies. Wow, that is amazing. So, some of the things we were talking about, and I think you were saying some things that stood out to me, and I can tell that you're very passionate about, the community, especially the Black community, and trying to see how we can challenge ourselves and rise above the water. What do you see far as challenges in the Black community that we're facing, and how would you, provide solutions for those challenges?
Okay, yeah. So one of the biggest challenges that I feel like we as a Black community won't be able to overcome is the systematic injustices that happen every day before us. And a lot of those, it branches off into so many different areas, as far as socioeconomic statuses, as far as healthcare disparities, as just all of that going into one. So I feel as if something that we can do as a community is work with each other. And I know it's easier said than done, because it seems like all we've done as Black community is, as we were talking about at the house, we're against ourselves as well as everyone else against us. So I feel like once we start coming together and realizing that we all need to put our resources together for the good of our community, we won't really see a lot of change.
So when you say systematic injustices, you have the ideology of believing that the system is set up for the Black man to fail today. Are you talking about past tense, or are you talking about present tense?
Both. And it's not necessarily that the system is set up for the Black man to fail, because we've seen there's many successful Black men or Black women. That's not necessarily set up specifically against us,
Mm-hmm.
but the system wasn't built for us.
Right.
So yes, we have figured our way out through the system, and we've some of us, not and not all of us,
Mm-hmm.
and have figured out how to get about and go around the system to get where we desire to be.
Mm-hmm.
But that system wasn't necessarily built for us. When that system was built, yes, it says, that you have the right to um what was it, liberty? I don't remember it all exactly. But when they wrote about it, we were enslaved. So
Mm-hmm.
they weren't talking about us, that we have the right to the happiness, pursuit of happiness and life, and the like. They weren't talking about Black folks.
Mm-hmm.
But now, as time has gone on, and we're seen as equal to them, you know, we figured it out. But I don't feel like it's necessarily built against us.
Right. Even with it being um the way that the system plays out, um and all the different challenges that we face, what is let me see, how can I say this? What would be one of the things that you would try to push to the forefront of all the things that we can add on to how we can come above these different problems and situations and challenges that we have? What would be like the number one thing that you would push up front?
Like the number one issue
That
that
like
I would.
the number one issue that we need to tackle first. What would be the biggest thing or the foundation of that?
That's a good point. I've never really thought of the foundation, like where we need to start at.
Uh-huh. Well, let me
Mm.
let me just throw out my idea while you think about it while I'm
Okay,
talking.
I'm like,
I
okay,
would think,
I gotta really.
okay, yeah, because I
That's a
want to
good
think about.
question.
I believe that the biggest challenge that any community, especially the Black community that we face, is the problem within the family. I believe that once you have that strong foundational, father, that strong foundational mother in the home, that's going to instill morals, you know what I'm saying? It's going to instill education. And, I'm a Christian, so of course that's going to push, the biblical understandings of who Jesus Christ is and what it meant for him to die on the cross for our sins and to rise again on the third day. Once we have that core value and that understanding, I believe that's going to break all those strongholds of ignorance that a lot of people face because they being consumed by social media and by movies. And if you listening to the wrong people, because social media has a broad spread across the
Right.
world, and people can go to YouTube and find a teachers, they can find a counselors, they can find a gurus or whatever specific, knowledge base that they're looking for. However, those things aren't helping them because it's not really providing solutions. It's almost like listening to people that's ranting about a whole bunch of problems, but are not giving them solutions on how to fix and tweak those problems and rise above, you know, those situations. So if the man, or if you are not trying to educate yourself, or if you're not thinking in a way that is going to not only benefit you but benefit those to come behind you, I believe that that's like one of the number one issues that we face, especially in the Black community.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and, and one of the things that we was talking about too was, you know, growing up in the hood, and going to like an all Black school versus to going to a school that's predominantly white. What has been your experience growing up and seeing the different cultural breakdowns between those two?
So growing up, just to give whoever on here a little background about myself, I grew up going to predominantly white institutions till about I was in about eighth grade. Maybe one of those years I went to a school that was predominantly Black, but between the kindergarten to eighth grade, I went to school with predominantly white. And it wasn't until I got into high school that I decided that, well, me and my family, my mom let us go to a different school that had more people, more African American. It was very diverse. It wasn't even necessarily that the Blacks were the majority. It was just more than two of us in the classroom, how it
Right.
was half and half. So then going from that to going to a historically Black college university, I've seen the whole spectrum. So I never necessarily had any too many issues of any racism in school or any like prejudices in school. But also I wasn't going to school and looking for that. I wasn't aware of what was happening. Like, they say a lot of your trauma or a lot of traumatic things that are said to you, you don't really take account for until after the fact that it's done. So now when I sit back and reflect, like I remember the first time, now natural hair is a very big topic. Now natural hair is everybody loves their natural hair, but just what I'm about to be a senior. That's what less than 10 years ago, because I really don't know. I was in like 7th grade. I remember I wore my hair natural for the first time and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have any like gel. I just watered it up and put some stuff in it, thinking it's gonna stay like that at school.
It was like a fro. You had like a fro out
Yeah,
or something.
my hair, it'll get curly. It's curly when it's wet, but when it dries up, it's very poofy. So I remember going to school and one of my friends was like, "What, do you have a bad hair day today? Like, what's going on with your hair?" So then I was like, but at the time, I'm just laughing it off because I don't know what's going on with my hair either. I wanted to wear my hair down. So looking back at that, it's things like that. And even now to this day, people that I've seen, people that I went to school with on social media, just with all the police brutality and things that have happened, just their opinions. These are the people that I grew up around, and these are the people that I learned a lot of things like around. And now going to a predominantly Black HBCU, I have come to like the realization that I was never comfortable and I was never able to be myself at those predominantly white schools. Like now I can be my full self because I'm comfortable. There I wasn't comfortable because nobody there looked like me. Nobody there really understood what I went through unless they were around me.
Yeah, even with that being said, so what's the word I want to use? Your ethnicity or your race or whatever. You're half. Would it be half white or would it be like 25% white?
Let's say 25%.
You like 25% white and 20 or 75% black, right? Or you part Mexican too?
No, that's it.
That's it. So how do you interact or you move between those worlds or you don't? Because you still got that white side of the family.
I don't. I'm gonna be honest, I don't, because I can't name you one white family member besides my grandmother and my great grandmother. I've met some, but they're older, so they've had kids. My grandmother had a brother, and I've never met him. I've never met my uncle. My mom has never met my uncle. We tried to get in touch with my uncle on like a personal note, because my grandma won't even do it. And like we have cousins that live down in Georgia that my grandma always talks to us about, but they're also older. So, they have kids and they have sisters and brothers that are also my cousins, but we don't talk. I don't know anybody.
So your white grandmother, is it like she reaching out to you or are you reaching out to her, or is it like a mutual relationship?
Me and my grandmother's relationship is mutual, so
Okay.
it's very mutual. I call her all the time. I come go see her. I just took her. Me and my sister, we took her out to eat last week. So it's very mutual. But that's really on that side of the family. That's it.
So let me ask you this: so do you think that if you were closer with your Caucasian side of the family, would you think that kind of shape your worldview a little differently?
I don't believe so.
You don't?
Because I have a best friend. Like I said, I have a best friend I still grew up with white people because oddly enough, my best friend is white, and I would always go over her family, and her family took care of me like I was part of their family, and my family did the same for her. So I still was able to have a connection like that. Like, granted, they're not my biological family, but I still would, and they're not as close, as family, but I call her mom, and I call her grandma. So
right.
I had that. It wasn't just like I didn't have any white people in my life at all. Like I had that, but I still don't think that's not, even with that being said, I still feel the way that I feel.
Right. So let's start shifting towards it and getting a little deeper in it. So white privilege. How do you view that, or what is your thoughts on white privilege and racism today?
I feel like there's then and I'm not going to say will always be that stigma,
Hmm.
but there's always been that stigma to live up to the white standard.
Right.
So as we know, as we've seen, hairstyles in the work community, hairstyles in general, the way people talk, getting a call back on an application just because you change your name to something different.
Mm.
I feel like there is privilege, like the white community does have an ample amount of privilege. And now, granted, since everything is coming to the light, we have more activists, like how we're having a podcast, having this conversation. 30 years ago, they weren't doing that. They
Right.
weren't
Right.
getting on here and, calling the white community out for their privilege. And granted, it's nobody's, I can't say it's nobody's fault now because we all still are playing a role into it. But granted, this is not their doing. They didn't create this, but white privilege is definitely real. It's definitely, it's in things that you don't even realize that it's in. Just as, here we were talking about my sister, um, getting it pulled over by the police.
Right. Right.
My sister, she's yellow, she's lighter, but you
Hmm.
can still tell she's dark. And so
Hmm.
she got pulled over by the
She
police.
looked Puerto Rican.
Yeah, she looks something. But she gets her and her friend are in the front seat of the car, and then there's three of her friends, and her friends in the back are white girls, but it's her and her friend is a black girl, and they get pulled over by the police because her friend was speeding. And so, the police comes in a car and flashes like, I need everybody's form of identification. But whole time, Avarcia is confused, and there was a friend in the back. They all three play volleyball together. So there's a friend in the back, and this is a white girl, and she's usually with the friend. Like this is not her first time getting pulled over for speeding.
Right. Right.
So she's usually with her though when it happens. Avarcia is usually not with her,
Hmm.
and so the white girl sit in the front seat with her, like
Hmm.
and she was confused because anytime the white girl and my sister's friend would they're both her friends, but anytime they would get pulled over, it wouldn't be, can I get everybody's form of identification in the car?
Hmm.
And then, but as soon as, there's somebody different in the front seat, now he needs all of their forms of identification. So just little things like that.
Hmm.
My sister's 18, like she hasn't even touched the brisk of living yet, and
Right.
she's getting racially profiled with getting for a speeding ticket. Like
Now, was this the same police officer, or this was a different police officer? That would be my question.
I believe it was a different one, but I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
pretty sure, but I believe it was a different one. But it
Right.
still goes to show, even throughout there, like there's certain policies and procedures that they're forced to follow.
Hmm.
I don't think a speeding ticket requires everybody's form of identification in the car.
Right. Now, me myself, I don't necessarily believe in white privilege. And I'm coming from the mindset of more like on the biblical worldview, saying that a white person is better off or more superior than me. For example, if it's me and a white man or a white woman up for the same job, and we got about the similar, credentials, similar experience and everything, and they get the job offer and I get passed up, I'm not gonna say that person got the job because they're white. I'm gonna say, just biblically thinking and speaking, I'm gonna say, well, that's not the job that God had for me. And when I think like that, that allows me to be victorious and be able to keep going and keep moving. Because if I start thinking like, okay, I'm getting passed up because I'm black and they're not, then that becomes self-defeating. You know what I mean? So if you look at it in that type of sense, you gotta think that, okay, certain things happen in life, but the Bible says all things work together for the good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. So no matter what happened to us, the bad, the good, everything at the end of the day, for those who love God, it all works out to our benefit. So
Yeah,
so for me, I took many, I done had many positions where I done beat out white people, Asians, and I'm an engineer in my role. So what would you say about that?
So I definitely agree because that's how I look at everything too. Just for example, like the end of my sophomore year of college, I was going through a breakup with a boyfriend I had been dating since I was in like high school, like a junior in high school. So I was going through a breakup with that. I had applied to become a part of my sorority that I had joined, like I am a part of now, and I got denied. I had went and I tried out for the volleyball team at my university. I had got denied. And then on top of that, at the same time, it was time to turn in my renewal application for my RA job that I had. And I had missed the deadline because I was just so, focused on everything I had going.
Spread out, yeah.
Yeah, and the way I got through that was, as you said, God's not going to put me in any position that I'm not supposed to be in. So clearly I couldn't let what was going on defeat me. But I feel as if like relating to this white privilege or a white person getting a job over you and you're not getting the job, how you look at it as, that's not God's plan for you, which I totally agree. But yet that still doesn't change that still doesn't change necessarily the situation. Now, no, I'm not going to sit here and dwell and cry that this white person got this job over me because, like you said, it clearly wasn't meant for me. Right. But that still doesn't change the fact that there are discrepancies within the job hiring process. There have been studies where if a Black person changes their name, or even stories where they change their name on an application or they fill out multiple.
Are you moving some? It's like a lot of static in the background. Some.
Sorry.
Okay.
But I've seen stories where they say they've done that twice, and they'll put like I'm not gonna, Black people have different names, so they put the name. Like I'm not just gonna throw it out there. You put a Deja on an application and you put a Hannah on the application.
Right.
It's been instances where Hannah gets the call back, but they have the same qualifications. That's where the issue is.
Right.
Is that you all have the same qualifications, but because of their skin color, they're more likely to get it. And that's not necessarily have to do with a mindset. When you bring that up, it doesn't necessarily have to do with your mindset looking at it. It has to do with that's the statistical fact, like that, but that's wrong, and it doesn't represent the balance or the way that the communities are distributed out. It's not representing it. There's no reason that we both may have the same qualifications, or I may even have better qualifications, but they still got picked by that. But
I understand what you're trying to say. I understand, and that's why I like to talk to people that think differently than me, so it causes me to expand my perspective more, you know what I'm saying, so I can make sure I'm looking at all angles.
Yeah,
one of the things that we was talking about, and this is the reason I named the podcast this, what does Black sound like? You are very articulate, you are enunciate every word, your grammar sounds good. Me myself, not so much. The way I'm talking now.
And now I'm talking like I would in a professional setting. So.
Yeah. But I mean, you present well. Let me say it like that. You present me like I. This is how I sound when I'm giving presentations and demos on products that I'm helping build out. I'm still trying to figure that out. And my wife is very professional as well. Would you say that the way that you speak is professional, or would you think that people would take that as you sounding white?
The way I speak, I don't like for right now, I would call it professional. I'm saying all of my words so that anybody and everybody that's listening to me, no matter what region of the country you're from, you're going to understand what I'm saying. I don't talk like this on a daily mic. It just depends who I'm talking to and what I'm talking about. I still pronounce my words. I still articulate my words most of the time when I do talk, but I feel like, okay, I lost the question now because I got the rambling. What?
No, I'm saying that the way that you talk, will people consider that as being white, or is that being professional?
They definitely consider it being white. You don't know how many times I've heard like, "Oh, you sounded really white. You sounded really white," but then that goes around to say, "What does be sounding white sound like?"
Right.
Like, what
Right.
does sounding black sound like? Like,
Right.
does it then is it ghetto? But what is ghetto?
Right.
You
Exactly.
know, so it goes into all of that. So I don't think I sound like a white person. Why can't a white person sound like me?
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
like why is it all, you know, why is it always about what are we doing compared to what they're doing? Why can't they, what are they doing trying to be like me? Why can't I, this is how the word is supposed to sound, so
Right.
why is me saying it the correct way? You know, me sounding white. So are you trying to say, not you, but you know, people, are
Right.
you trying to
Exactly.
say
Yeah.
white is
Yeah.
what's
Right.
correct, you know?
Right. Exactly. So my daughters are very articulate and they enunciate words very well. They have very good grammar, and they are called by some that they are whitewashed. Why I said whitewash? I said, what is that? What does that mean?
Right.
You know, what is that? What does that mean? 'Cause I remember my daughter told me, but I'm still not sure. She said that the girl told her that because we have a nice house and her parents got good jobs, and um she talked like I think that's what she said. She talked like she white. But what is whitewash? Am I missing a meaning behind that?
So that right there was definitely taken out of context. That little girl is projecting her hurt
Right.
upon them, because there's nothing wrong. Like I told y'all, we grew up in apartments. We grew up in an apartment building. I'm always, ooh, I wish we could have a house. I see all my friends with houses just like y'all's. I'm going over their house. I wish we could have, why can't we live in a house? Why we gotta stay in an apartment? Well, you know, but I was never the one to say black people thought they was better because they did have that house. But that girl is just projecting her hurt upon them because she wishes she had that house. She wishes she could do that. But whitewash,
Hold on for a second. Hold on.
like,
Tiff, you said you couldn't hear? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
but whitewashed is when you think what the white community is doing is what is the way for you to do it as well. When you think that the only way that you can be successful is in life is setting yourself up to the standards that the white community holds, that's
Mhm.
being whitewashed, and thinking that anything else in any other way is not going to help you get there.
Okay,
That's what being whitewashed is.
so this is a good segue to what I'm about to bring up now. So I still believe in many areas of life that not only black people, many ethnic groups of people try to be validated or confirmed by white people's standards. And we was talking about interracial dating and interracial marriage. How do you feel about that, or what are your thoughts when it comes to being confirmed or dating outside your race and all the things that come with that?
So me personally, I don't think I would date outside my race, and I don't see it. I've never envisioned it. I don't imagine it, because I just feel like at the end of the day, we're going to be too different. I'm too passionate about the Black community and the injustices that occur within them, and trying to find ways that will progress and help us with our progression. And not saying that someone white cannot do that for us as well, but I don't feel like they're going to understand it the way that I understand it, the way that I have to live through it or live and see my family members go through it. As far as interracial dating, like, you know, when I grow up and have a family, I'm going to, of course, root for the Black family. I'm going to root that my children marry Black, just because that's what I've seen, that's what I know, and that's what I love. I love being Black. I love our culture. I love our traditions, and I want my children to feed into that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not wrong, but it's not my forte, you know.
Right. So with that being said, now you 25% white. What about that dude that got that 25% whiteness in him? That's mixed as well. You will receive that as a black man if a guy is mixed.
And you know what's crazy? After we left, you know, I told you I had my class in the morning the next day.
Uh-huh.
So I have my professor that runs my internship. I thought he was just a white man, but he's 25% Black.
Right.
And I
But
found
he
out
look
that
white though, huh?
No, well, he does, but then I found out that he identifies himself as a Black man, but he's only 25% Black.
Right.
After I was told that, I looked at him, and I was like, okay, I can
That was
see.
God. That was God doing that.
I can see, yeah, like I see what you're saying. Like I needed to know that he identified that way. Like, yeah, because I looked at him the next day and I go, okay, like I definitely see you're Black coming out. Just like people will look at me and be like, you're mixed. What are you mixed? But you can tell that I have that in me. But what usually it would throw me off because so many people take our Blackness and take it and try to parade it around and will do anything to say that they are Black, but they never went through the experience of being Black. So you can't really say you're Black without having that experience. But later found out that he grew up with his Black family. And now he runs. I'm in a health equity summer scholars program. So we're trying to figure out how to bridge the gap in health disparities within children of like the African-American community with their counterparts. And not just those, but every discrepancy between those. And he runs it all. Like he's an orthopedic surgeon and he runs the whole program, like the health, the racism, to bridge that gap there. And so usually it would throw me off, but it really got me thinking, like, because granted, you can go for a white passing male. You're still African American. You can still tell, so you're still taking that burden on what African American, and not necessarily saying you're getting the whole thing because we have colorism,
right?
But you also grew up with your family seeing those struggles. So
now, for people that don't know, what is colorism?
Colorism is thinking one color is better than the next. So
like light-skinned people think they better than dark-skinned people.
Yeah, like I'm lighter than you, so I'm better than you, or I have more privilege than you, or I prefer this and this because that's the way it looks, or just being granted more opportunities because of your.
Now that's not just in the Black community. That's in the Chinese community, the Mexican community. That's everywhere. Indians. It's like people prefer to be lighter, and if you are darker, that is a problem for them. So that's everywhere.
Can go is white. So is everybody living up to these white standards? Is every culture, every ethnicity, like it's crazy how it
Right. So when you see somebody like a Black man dating or married to a white woman or vice versa, a Black woman married to a white man, what are your thoughts and ideas about that?
Usually it just honestly depends on the type of situation, because in my instances, like, I do have my 25% white.
Right.
So I seen my grandparents, they're divorced now, but I've seen them married. Like I seen what that was. And it was nothing. It was not saying that they can't have successful relationships, but from my experiences and seeing it after, I love my grandma to death, but I feel as if my grandma is prejudiced. And she loves us to death, but I still feel the way that I feel because of the comments that she makes, the things that she says. Of course, I correct her, but how can you be married to someone, but this is your view about people that look like them?
Right.
And that's not that's I just, every time, whenever I see that, and for everyone, that's how I look at it. And I told you, and it's not even that it's a conscious thing. I think that there's a subconscious thought that white is better or white is superior, and that's not saying that that's what people think and that's their goal, that's in their mind, that's their mindset. But the way the society that we live in is everything living up to white standards. So I feel like there's that subconscious thought, and I can't help but think of that when I see those relationships. Like I can't help but think that you think that subconsciously you're better than me, or you know that you have that privilege, that you are better than me when you're not. We're all the same.
Yeah,
so that's what I think of.
Now I'm a believer that if my daughter decide to marry a white man, I would be okay with that. If she's a Christian, long as they equally yoke and the guy is in the Lord, you know what I'm saying, he's a Christian, I wouldn't have no problem with that. But I will say this. When my daughter went to the prom and her prom date looked like me, that did something to me. That
Yes.
made me feel a certain way, you know what I'm saying? And even every time I look at that picture, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, you know, I don't know. It's like she's subconsciously saying something and with the volume turned all the way up to me. It's like it's screaming
Yes.
out like I love my daddy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I
No,
I, I really felt blessed seeing that, you know what I'm saying, and capturing that moment of my daughter and her friend, you know what I'm saying, and this guy looks like me. I just thought that was kind of amazing, you know. So you know, but I'm not really against interracial dating. I do know that growing up, you know what I'm saying, especially living in the hood and being still hood-ish, if I could say it like that, a lot of uh uh you know, black guys, you know what I'm saying, black men consider white women as like trophies.
right.
And the reason for that, and white women feel that same way about black men too, and one of the reasons for that is that, you know, a lot of black women, due to all the burdens and all the stresses that they had to carry due to the man not stepping up in our community, when they do get with a black man, they got so much baggage. It's always, when it comes to arguing, it's fighting, it's disrespect. And it's almost like the black woman act like she want to try to, you know, stand shoulder to shoulder and knuckle up with the dude. You know what I'm saying? Because there's
Yeah.
no level of respect there. And that really only happens for the most part in the black community. And all the other groups across the board, Indians, whites, blacks, you don't see that same thing where the woman is trying to be dominant. The woman in the other groups of nationalities are always in the background, are always on the side of their man, and they okay with that because they know they role. But the woman is, even like, for example, my daughter told me that, you know, if she get married and say her man is making millions of dollars, that she would not want to be a stay-at-home mom because that's being a bum. Even though
Okay.
her dude make way more than enough money to provide for them and their family and they got children, she said she don't want to be put in a situation like that and feeling like she a loser and she a bum, so she gonna go to work. So in her mind, to the traditional role of a woman, to take care of the home, to take care of the children, and to make sure that her man is taken care of, to her that's losing. To her,
Mm.
she need to have all her own because that's her. I mean, that what is that? What is that called?
And being
Feminism?
independent.
Is that feminism? What is
I'm not
that?
sure necessarily they say that's feminism, but it's touching the borders of it.
Hmm.
What that is, because I mean, I used to, when I was younger, you know, before I started really having to work and really having to pay bills and really having to do stuff,
Uh-huh.
I'd say the same thing because granted, me and her grew up differently. She's always had you in your life. And I mean, I've always had my dad, but it's just that knowing that someone can let you down. And if I'm depending completely on you,
Hmm.
and something goes wrong, I have nothing to fall back on. I have nothing to pick myself up. I'm going to have to start all over again while you're out here making millions of dollars. And if you, we see it all the time though. We
Right.
see it all the time with people that are married and celebrities, that they get married, the wife stays at home, you know, she takes care of the family. He ends up, whatever happens, and now you don't, now you're left with nothing, you're left with scraps. So
Right.
I feel like that is just from people not, and especially in the Black community, because I mean, I agree that that is a problem, that we are more dominant and hands-on and, you know, not as submissive as others in the other communities go. But we also have to, that also comes in, like you said, the family is a very important thing. There are not many African American successful families as you all. So, you know, that's not necessarily the reality for everybody. So
Right. Right.
me personally, knowing that you know, I would like to say that I've always had my head on right. I'm not, I don't, I wouldn't, and I probably wouldn't feel comfortable depending on any man if he would be my husband or not, because I've just been let down that many times.
Right.
And after a certain point, it's like, you have to be logical. You have to use your common sense. Now, I'm not one of those girls that will cuss you out and do all that, you know, that they may do and stress them out. Cause I mean, I'm also young, so that also plays a part, but I don't, if you're my man, whoever I get married to, you're my husband, you're the head of like your household. If I'm married to you, I trust your judgment. Like, of course I'm going to have my opinion, but if we're married, then we obviously know how to compromise and get through those things. But
Right.
a lot of times it just has to do with trust. But I would still be dumb to not make sure that at the end of the day that I have to take care of myself, because the only person that really I have to take care of is my, like, nobody else is going to take care of me like I take care of me. And I pray I find somebody that I feel like will, but still there's that subconscious thought that you're born by yourself and you die by yourself. So
Okay.
well, now do I have you hanging this over my head when things go bad? Because we would love to say that marriages are going to last forever, but that's not the reality of it sometimes. And if you're, like I said, if I'm depending on you and I'm just at home cleaning the house and cooking the food, not really working, if we see somebody that's doing that on their own, like if we see somebody that's just by themselves doing that, we would consider that, you know, bum behavior. You're just sitting at home, you're not doing anything, you're just, so I get it, but it just really it just depends. I feel like everybody should do that though. Everybody should be able to be okay. Like,
I want to say this: cooking and cleaning and taking care of a house and taking care of children is hard work. That does not make you a bum. You know what I'm saying? It's just that some people take advantage of that, and you know, I know some dudes, and you know, we seen it like you said. You know, you got these different guys who make all this money and successful, and they got their wife, and their wife doing everything that they supposed to do, and they still end up leaving them. You know what I'm saying? So that's an issue with the guy. That's really not an issue with the woman. However,
but how many times do we see that happen? How many times do we see these successful marriages happen and last where that is the case? The man, especially in the Black community, where the man is the breadwinner, the man is the head of the household, and his wife is at home taking care of home, doing what she needs to do at home, and they just live a fairy tale. How often do we see that?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's true. You know, that's true. And you know, it, like when my daughter said that, it kind of saddened me a little bit. However, I can understand what she's trying to say. What she's trying to say, like, it was basically what you just said. She want to make sure if everything falls through the cracks or slip through the cracks, she can be able to move and do things to where she's not stuck. She don't want to be, you know, stuck. Now, even with that being said, you can get a part-time job or you can do something like that, but it's just the mindset of her thinking that if I stay at home and be a stay-at-home wife and mom, then I'm a loser. Then I'm a bum. That's just wrong.
I think that just comes with getting older too and maturity. Because like I said, at her age, I would have done, no, you're not going to take care of me. But now growing up and seeing like how much it does take to be a parent and how much it does take to not only have a clean home and a food on your table every night, but to what it is actually like to make a house a home, to have that family environment.
It takes
and that
two.
does take a lot. But I didn't realize that until I got older and started reflecting on what do I want for myself and my family that I plan to have. So like, granted, I wouldn't probably I'm planning to go to school to be a doctor. So there's probably never going to be a time in my life where I'm not at least working part-time. But if I was fortunate and had a husband that wanted to take care of me, you know, I might work 3 days out of the week.
Right.
And the other 4, you know, having my house together and then taking trips and doing things with my family, because I would be able to do that. But
well, see,
I would still have that backup, but it's just maturity.
This is the thing though, because working is stressful. So if your job is stressful and you at work stressed, then your wife, she go to work, she stressed. Y'all both come home from a stressful job. Then the house not cleaned up. Then you not eating right because y'all don't got enough time to prepare food. So you eating wrong. You stressed at work, and then if you're not working out and you gaining weight, and then you take all that, and then it start to break down the sex life. Then the sex life is missing. The next thing you know, everything just comes apart.
Somebody's unhappy, but you know what that sounds like? That sounds a lot like what happens in our Black communities.
Yeah.
We work these jobs that we don't want, that we know that we can do better than, but you have to have a job to be able to get by. So
Right.
now y'all both working jobs. I mean, I've seen it with my own, like my personal experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mom not working a job that, you know, she knows she could go work somewhere else, or but
Right.
she needs the money. My dad working, you know, just fixing up houses. That he my dad's a can be a whole electrician, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
you're going house to house putting fans up. That's not your passion. That's not your desire. When you're doing something you're not passionate about, it
Right.
is gonna drain you.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
you bring that home. Now you're arguing in front of your kids, and it's just
You said
a
toxic
toxic
environment situation.
cycle. Yeah.
A lot of love being lost in the atmosphere because of all that
Mhm.
stress. Now, moving to the next quick thought, uh, segregation. You had mentioned, and you not the first person I heard say that. I've been hearing this a lot more lately. But your thoughts on segregation was you will be okay with that, meaning blacks with blacks and whites with whites and Mexicans with Mexicans or whatever. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So just as we mentioned earlier with the jobs, you go to a job with a white person and a black person, you know, you're not necessarily gonna say you didn't get the job because you were black, but when you put statistics in it, that's what it is. So if I'm just competing with somebody that looks like me, or where we're both going where we were wanted, because you know, if you're not getting picked because you're not white, you're not wanted there, obviously. That's then that it makes it. Let me figure out how I'm trying to word it, because there's not that competition, there's not that standard that I have to live up to the white people, like white goals. Like
Mm-hmm.
we've seen it with our own eyes, you know. We were minding our business, they were minding theirs, you know. I feel like if it led to having that standard, that European, that white standard. I feel like that's where it really started. Like,
Right.
yeah, that's where, oh, I have to be just as good as them. And we've seen it numerous times, movies from our cousins, our aunties, our uncles, our moms. You have to work twice as hard. You have the stigma against you because you are black. You have to work twice as hard.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if they don't have to work twice as hard, because they're surrounded in communities that look like them, that are for them. Like it's
Well,
just that stigma of working twice as hard to get to where you need to be. When, but for what? To be
yes.
unhappy, to be in a workplace that doesn't want you there, but they picked you anyway because you did have the qualifications, but you're still getting treated badly. Like, why put yourself through that?
Well, the thing that I see with segregation is that when we become integrated, I think it causes to break a lot of barriers of communication, and it opened people up to reality that people are not the way that they think they are once they get to interacting with them. I think that's what happened with me when it was like working with like Indians that's from, I don't want to be disrespectful, but from Asia, the ones that had a red dot on their forehead, them type of Indians. I ain't talking about like native Cherokee Indian. I'm talking about them Indians with the dots. They had the dots, or I forgot which country or which land they from, but those type of Indians like from Nepal, and I can't think of some of them places, but working with them, a lot of barriers broke, a lot of interaction, and it caused them to even broaden their horizons and their views on black people, because a lot of people from other countries, before they come over here, they are warned not to deal with black people. They are warned that black people are like this, and this, either lazy, they mean, they might beat you up. And then on the other side, a lot of foreigners from other countries, they are scared of white people in a different way. Like they scared of white people, meaning that the white people can get their green card took, or
Yeah.
can, oppress them, or they got to bow down to whatever they say. But when it's dealing with black people, they just think that we are not as smart, we're lazy and different things. But I believe that when we integrate with each other and we have a diverse work culture, that causes people to have a better understanding of life in different people groups. Because I
And
know by me just looking like I look, and I done had these conversations with some of my Indian friends at work. You know what I mean? Because they can see me come into work, I'll be suited and booted, and they be like, man, this dude be fresh. Or I can come in with some J's and some polo on, and
Mm-hmm.
and I got the chain on. They like, man, you about to go to a concert or something?
Yes.
But I'm still in there, and I'm running a team. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Doing what I do and
Yes.
looking how I look, and that causes them to be like, okay, maybe we had it wrong, and and they only been in the States for a couple of years, so.
And and that's true. We do, in order to be educated about the different cultures, different ethnicities, the way people different live. Yes, of course, we need to be integrated with them. We need to, the best way we're going to learn is from them. The best way they're going to learn is from us.
Right.
The problem is when, people take from cultures and don't know what they're doing or don't know. But as far, I feel like that should be on a completely, you decide that basis, but then it gets hard because the people that you like, so where you want to work at, I'm trying to figure out how to say it. So I feel like it should be on a need basis. Like me personally, I went to an all black school because I know how that was going to, how I was going to get treated. I know that I was going to be able to be comfortable because I was around people that looked like me, that had these same goals as me. We're all here to get a college degree. So that's what I'm around. That's what I, if I went to a PWI, I'm pretty sure I would have struggled with discrimination more than half my friends that go to school do. So I feel like it's up to where you place yourself, because I don't know how I'm trying to say it.
Well, I think I understand what you're trying to say. When you are um being forced in that environment, it could kind of impact you a little differently. Almost like, if I can put it like this to make it more practical, if my son doesn't want to play football and then I make him go out to play and join the football team, he might be out there and he might be going through the motions, but his attitude is going to reflect if he really want to be
He
there.
doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, and that's
Or
just like
if
that's just like with the work group. So if you got a whole bunch of people that's kind of forced to work with different people of different nationalities that don't want to be there, the attitude level of that work environment is going to start to break down.
you're going to go through the most, you're not going to be passionate about what you're doing.
Right.
And a lot of times we're not able to do things that we're passionate about because we have to do things that get us by.
Right.
And so that is a big, if I think, to your question, you first asked me, like, what would that structure, that foundation be? Probably having our people in our Black community do things that they're genuinely passionate about, letting that opportunity to see to do what they actually want to do and how well they can flourish at that.
Right. Now you mentioned a couple of times about one day finding somebody. You know what? Hold on, Harrison. Hey, cut that off, man. That's loud. Cut that. That's throwing me off. Yeah, cut that off for a minute, man. That's loud.
What does he got on?
He got that's the vacuum. Could you hear that in the background?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. I was wondering what it was.
Yeah, again. Man, that's loud. Yeah, you can't do that. I'm on a live podcast, buddy. You gotta wait, man. I'll let you know when I'm done. I'm almost done. And you know what? Another thing I want to say, this is the longest podcast I done had since I've been doing this too.
Really?
Yeah, so you breaking all type of goals today. Like, man, I'm breaking new barriers today with Sonecia and Nard. Okay. So you had mentioned preparing for family life and trying to find somebody that's gonna take care of you like you would take care of you. What else do you see far as your role as a wife? Because I know a lot of women say, I want a man like this, and this, and he got to be making this type of money, and he got to look like this, and we got to be doing this, and this. What are you doing to prepare yourself to be a wife?
So, to prepare myself to be a wife, I mean, I've always and always will be very family oriented.
Okay.
So it's always with the boys, like, y'all want to go do this? Do y'all want to go do this? You want to go do that? And I feel like being a wife is being the one that keeps and brings the family together. And at the end of the day, that's all I mean, not, you know, my parents aren't together, but that's what I've seen. Like my mom keeps me and my siblings together. My mom has always made sure that no matter what her opinion on what is going on in our family or what she feels about somebody, she never kept us away from that family and let us form our own opinions about that. So I feel
Right.
like, and
That's
for
good.
preparing myself as like to be a wife, I'm working on myself, the way I react to things, the way I look at things, because if I don't have myself together, I can't be a wife to anybody. You know, your partner's supposed to be a reflection of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be with someone that when I can't be my best self. Like that's not, of course they're supposed to be there for your highs and lows, but I want to be able to at least have a sense of identity because how can if I don't know who I am, how can me and you come together to be one?
Right.
So I think that my number one thing is just getting myself together and learning who I am before I even get that. And then just setting myself up for success. Like no man's gonna really, I mean, there's some, but the type of man that I'm going after, that I want to marry, he shouldn't want to be with a woman that's not on top of her stuff, a woman that doesn't have her priorities together. So I feel like I'm getting my priorities together for not only myself, but that's my number one thing. But the person like I said, the person I'm gonna want to be with, that I imagine my being with, would not want to be with someone that doesn't have a work ethic just as hard as them. So setting myself up and working on myself is what I'm really doing right now to, you know, get my life together so one day I can be someone's wife.
Okay, so you said getting yourself together, far as being, I would take it being organized, being diligent, being disciplined, doing the things that you have to do so you one day can do the things that you want to do.
Right,
I would say
exactly.
that. Okay. So now I know your childhood. I know your mom. And matter
Mhm.
of fact, I was speaking on it, and I almost woke up the next day and called your mom and sent her a text because I've been around your mom for a long time. Now,
Mhm.
when I met your mom and your dad was wrestling on the porch on Robinwood when when we was like
That sounds
when
about
we was
right.
like 15, 16 years old. Boris and your mom was wrestling. I think she slammed him. I said, hold on, man, what was this light-skinned girl over here wrestling with all these muscles slamming? It was so
It
funny. I
sounds
was
about
rolling.
right.
I was rolling. But I seen her transition in life, and I was around some of those critical moments
Right.
that changed her life. And everything that your mom went through, you know, I was on the outside looking in, but I was very, very close.
Right.
And your mom is a survivor too, and everything that she went through, and I talked about this before, the things that your mom dealt with and the things that you and your sisters and your brothers dealt with. A lot of people are becoming suicidal off less than that. I mean,
Mhm.
just off a few pressure breaking points, people are retracting back. But on that, on still, your mom being able to try to hold it together enough to where she's instilling in y'all family values through everything. She's instilling in y'all education. She's instilling in y'all the things and all the love and support that she can do from her side, to
Mhm.
where it kind of pours into you. And then you are, in a HBCU. Your mom had y'all when she was very young, and already a statistic. You know what I'm saying? Having babies at a teenage age, you already a statistic, and they tell you that you're not gonna amount to nothing. And then you got the baby, and then the baby, they look at the baby, which would be you, and say, well, you can never be anything because who are your parents? You see what I'm saying? So you are breaking, you have broken many molds. You by being intelligent, by being ambitious, by being motivated, and by being where you are today, and you still are pressing in. It's not like you cutting yourself any slack. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I asked you about your GPA. You said, oh, it's a 3.5. And I'm like, ooh, that's good. Wow. You like, nah, I mean, it's cool. It could have been better, but I'm doing this, that. But see, and these are the things that kind of stand out to me when I look at you and I look at your family and everything that y'all, where y'all come from and where y'all at now, and how, your mom has just kind of been like just more than your mom, but your friend, and kind of been, that sister to you, you know what I'm saying, to let you know, like, this is where it's at, kind of setting you up to succeed. So what would you say about that road of being a survivor of everything you've seen and everything you experienced?
So I will say my mom is definitely the reason why I go hard every day. And she doesn't really like when I say that, though, because she says, if I'm going to do something, I need to do it because that's what I want to do.
Right.
But that right there is why I am like I am today, because she would sit down and talk to me like that, like everything we have been through, just by her being a survivor through what she's been through. I haven't been through nearly the amount of things that she went through,
Right.
even at this same age. So you're 20 years old and you got shot with an AK-47. Like, that's not normal. You
Right.
you on top of having 2 children already, you have all this, not calling me and my sister burdens, but you have this responsibility already, and now you almost lost your life, and you've only been alive for 20 years. So just seeing my mom be able to like battle all of the things that she did, and then still be able to be this, even if she would go in her room and cry at night, to be this person that is so stand up and that is so positive and that doesn't let her defeat like define who she is. I think that right there is just what keeps me going, because how dare I let myself slack over something that I can control, when there's been many of things that I've seen in my life that I couldn't control, or even in hers, and she still till this day will have the biggest smile in the room when you walk in. So how dare I let myself be defeated when I've seen all that God has done for not only her, but my family. And when I know that it may be bad, but it's going to be better. So
Right.
she's really who installed, not even necessarily saying that's what she sat down and said to me, but just seeing that where we come from, what we've went through, that I can be 21 and not have any kids and beat that statistic of being a teen pregnant, like from teen pregnancy and going into that, and not going to college, and even branching off to the college that I went to 6 hours away from home. Like I've been there where we don't have no food in the fridge, and when we don't have anything to eat that you eat at school. Like I've been on the government assistance. So the fact that we're able to come from that, and she's able to come from what she come from, is what keeps me going. And that her being a survivor is why I worked so hard to get to where I'm going, because I don't want anybody else that I love to have to go through anything like that, to be even in a position that would put them. So I'm doing what I have to do to make sure I don't, as well as them.
Yeah, because when I see you and I see the success that you're having at school, and I see your ambitions and your drives, I'm really looking at your mom. I'm really seeing your mom, and I'm seeing her have a place in her home and a place in her heart for her children, to where she's going to try to cultivate that love and that support and that emotional that emotional need, and a platform for y'all to know that you can still thrive no matter what your situation or what your circumstance is. You can do it. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to give a shout out to Crystal, and even with Varsity, you know what I'm saying? She didn't graduate high school. And that's a big thing. I mean,
And she's going to school with me. So.
And your sister is about to go to, is it Tennessee State?
Yes, Tennessee State.
Which is a HBCU. Which Master P's son about to go there too. I think I seen it on the Breakfast Club.
We got Eddie George is our football coach this year.
Oh man, so it's about to be a whole big light shining on Tennessee State. You gonna be there as a senior. You gonna have your little sister there as a freshman. She's doing good. Man, that's such a blessing. Now, before we segue out, because I don't want to keep you too much longer,
Right.
everything that y'all been dealing with, and I brought this up the other night ago. Have you had any counseling or any therapy, to kind of deal with these emotions so, they don't start eating at you in the wee hours of life?
Um, no, actually. Like we told y'all we had in high school, I had a counselor, but it just felt so fake. It just felt so you're here because this is your job.
Right.
And I'm a very genuine person. I get that, you're going to a counselor because that is their job,
Hmm.
but it's also their job to make you feel comfortable to want to tell them that information. So my experience with that, it was not a good one. And then because I'm not against counseling. I'm not
Right.
against. I'm a very vocal person. So if I feel a certain type of way, my mom could tell you that. Like, I'm going to say I feel that way. I'm going to let you know that that's how I feel about it, and that's really how I keep everything together. But I tried to do it again my freshman year of college. I was going through a couple of things, so I decided that I needed to go to a counselor and just try to talk,
Hmm.
and just try to see what I could do. But I still felt like it was very fornicated. Like, I felt like it was, you're here because this is your job. So
Hmm.
I never went back. I never followed up.
Right.
So the way that I get through, because I'm no better than anybody else. I have my same struggles. I do
Right.
stay up some nights,
Right.
wish things may have been different, or
Right.
not even saying that, but hey, I have a lot of faith in God. I've never had a period in my life where I question my faith in God,
Hmm.
because that's really all that I'm hanging on to know that everything that I'm going through is going to benefit me somehow, even if it's not right now, if there's going to be a lesson out of it
Hmm.
and it's going to benefit me eventually. That's really how I keep myself going forward without necessarily. I also journal. I also write whenever I am going through it. Like, there's kind of it's like a prayer journal. So I just write how my days are going, or how I'm feeling and why I feel that way, and try to get to the bottom of it. I'm like, so that's
Well,
how I
you need somebody to talk to. You need somebody that you can do life with,
I do.
and then you probably need somebody that's older that can
Mm,
kind of pour into you. I don't know how tight you is with my wife, but she love you, and
yeah.
you can always call her. If you ever need something, you in a tight squeeze or something, you can always call us. You know what I'm saying? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
It's keep cutting in and out.
I don't know why.
It's still doing it. Can you try to?
Hello?
Yeah, it's still doing it a little bit.
It's still doing it. Can you? Is
I
it
don't know
better
if it's
now?
mine or what's going
Is it better now?
on. It's a
Hold,
little. It's still going in and out. It's
hold on.
like it's delayed a little.
Hold on for a second. Let me see something.
Okay.
Is it better now?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah. What I was saying was even your brothers is like sons to me. So
Mm-hmm.
we love y'all, and we want to support y'all, and always know that you can always reach out to us. When you graduate, let us know.
Yeah.
Definitely let us know. We're gonna try to come down there. And any links or anything that you doing, share that with me so I can post it in the video description. Also, send me your Cash App. And does Varsity have a Cash App?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, send me y'all Cash App. We gonna make a donation to
All
the
right.
to the Nard Girls Foundation of moving up in life.
All right.
Yeah, so we gonna shoot y'all some bread today. We love y'all, and man, I really enjoyed this podcast. We've been on here for like over an hour, but it don't even seem like we've been on here that long.
We just been going
I
because
know.
I mean the topics are important. It's more people should talk about it, and like you said, get everybody's opinion and see to.
Right, right, exactly. Well, I need to go ahead and get off here. I really do appreciate you coming on here and chopping it up with me. Yeah, please send me your Cash App and all your info, and then
Yeah.
the HBCU that you go to, Tennessee State, send me all that information too. I'm gonna put all that on there because I know that that's a very good school. A lot of students don't like to go to that school that are in sports because those HBCUs get looked over. But I think that's about to change this year. I
Yeah,
think
we're D1. I told you Eddie George is the football coach. You know, Deion Sanders is down at Jackson State